We are in the midst of a pandemic. Bees all over the world, especially in the United States, are disappearing and dying at a rapid rate, and scientists are trying to figure out why. Certain pesticides that farmers spray across their fields are poisoning the bee population, putting them on the endangered species list. With so much at stake, efforts to investigate and uncover reasons for this sudden global pandemic have been robust. A new government study blames a combination of factors for the mysterious and dramatic loss of honeybees. These include increased use of pesticides, especially in the US, shrinking habitats, multiple viruses, poor nutrition and genetics, and even cell phone towers. However, according to last year's joint EPA-USDA study, the biggest cause is the parasite called the Varroa destructor, a type of mite found to be highly resistant to the insecticides that US beekeepers have been using in attempts to control the mites from inside the beehives. In a vicious cycle since 1987, when the Varroa mite was first discovered in the US, Monsanto, Dow, Bayer, and other large chemical manufacturers aggressively glommed onto the bee industry, selling genetically modified insecticides and herbicides as the quick and easy fix to remedy the parasitic invasion, only to weaken the bee's natural genetic defense to fight off the parasite. Bacillus thuringiensis, or BT, once ingested by bees, BT binds to the receptors within the bee's stomach lining that keeps the bee from eating. This weakens the bee, causing the breakdown of the inner stomach wall, which in turn makes the bee susceptible to spores and bacteria. To further the problem, for years the lobbying powers of chemical giants denied causing damage to the bee's internal immune capacity for resistance to parasites, which of course only continued to kill off the bee population worldwide. Therefore, they continued chemical use, especially in America, which only worsens this growing problem. Around 95% of the insecticide, first introduced in the 1990s and produced by firms such as Bayer and Syngenta, winds up in the wider environment. A study last year found 35 pesticides and fungicides, some at lethal doses, in the pollen collected from bees that were used to pollinate food crops in 5 United States. In another research study, bees that contacted pollen contaminated with fungicides ended up 3 times more likely to get infected by a parasite closely associated with the colony collapse disorder. Colony collapse disorder is the phenomenon that occurs when the majority of worker bees in a colony disappear and leave behind a queen, leaving plenty of food and a few nurse bees to care for the remaining immature bees and the queen. CCD does not have just one cause. Many factors contribute to its presence, but 2 major culprits seem to be overuse of pesticides and attacks from parasites, especially the deadly Varroa mites and pests such as small hive beetles and wax moths. The number of colonies affected by this increasingly exponentially. The total number of managed honeybee colonies has decreased from 5 million in the 1940s to 2.5 million today, according to the USDA. Bee populations are so low in the US that it now takes 60% of the country's surviving colonies just to pollinate one California crop, almonds. And that's just not a West Coast problem. California supplies 80% of the world's almonds, a market worth $4 billion. Honeybees and trucks migrate to various regions of a country to pollinate an estimated $40 billion worth of the nation's agricultural produce each year. This means that every 3rd bite of food we consume as the result of bees and other pollinators. USDA Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack stated that more than 130 fruits and vegetables make up a nutritious diet are cross-pollinated by honeybees. Commercial bees raised on farms and then shipped to other farms in the country used for pollination purposes along with wild bees are responsible for pollinating an estimated 80% of all food crops in the United States. Federal and state partners have been encouraged to consider making prudent changes in land management in order to optimize available nutritional forage for promoting bee health and protecting bee colonies by avoiding the use of pesticides. Eugene, Oregon became the first place to ban insecticides in the nation. So what can you do to help bees? It can be as easy as planting herbs and wildflowers, bushes, and fruit trees in your garden. For city dwellers, herbs are a great thing to have growing on your windowsill. Rosemary, lavender, thyme, and chives are great options that require little space and provide produce for humans and bees. Also buy honey from local beekeepers instead of the industrial honey produced for most supermarkets. Finally, don't go around squishing bees because you are afraid of them. Teach your friends, family, and kids about the importance of them, and let's try and end this pandemic together. Not only are bees vital to the survival of our ecosystem, including the hundreds of crops we eat weekly, but they also keep the beautiful nature around us thriving. Be smart, be kind, and be eco-friendly. Do it for the bees.